Welcome back, everyone. Three important news updates dropped on Epstein that has gotten President Trump scrambling. I'm Peter E. Watson. You're watching Pro-Democracy News. Yesterday, Democrat Adelita Grijalva was finally sworn in as the newest member to the House of Representatives. All the way back on September 23rd, Grijalva won a special election in Arizona's 7th congressional district. If normal procedures were followed for special elections, the Speaker of the House should have sworn her in within days of her election, a week at the most. But Speaker Mike Johnson refused to swear her in until now. Immediately after being sworn in, Grijalva became the 218th House member needed to sign the discharge petition that would force a vote in the House releasing the Epstein files. Grijalva signed the discharge petition within moments after she was sworn in. So that is the first news update. Here's the second. Because there are enough members who signed the discharge petition, a total of 218 members, the entire House of Representatives has to vote on releasing or not releasing the Epstein files. Speaker Mike Johnson said that this vote will happen next week, though exact time and day has not been announced. The third news update on Epstein is that House Democrats released more emails to the public that provide information linking President Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. Let's look at the first email. It's dated April 2nd, 2011, and it's between Jeffrey Epstein and his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein wrote, quote, "I want you to realize that the dog that hasn't barked is Trump. Victim spent hours at my house with him. He has never once been mentioned, police chief, etc. I'm 75% there," end quote. To which Ghislaine Maxwell responds, quote, "I've been thinking about that," end quote. A month prior to this, in April 2011, two of Epstein's survivors filed a lawsuit in a federal court in Florida, accusing the government of violating their rights under the Crime Victims' Rights Act during an investigation a few years prior. The two women hoped that the controversial sweetheart deal that Florida gave to Epstein in 2008 would be reversed and that Epstein would be forced to go to prison. All that to say that the context of Epstein's email is likely referring to that lawsuit. But notice that Epstein says Trump hasn't barked. One possible interpretation is that Epstein is acknowledging that Trump knew something and didn't tell the authorities. But notice the second statement. Epstein says that victim, probably referring to one of the girls in the lawsuit, spent hours at my house with him. But notice the second statement. Epstein says that the victim, someone he calls victim, probably referring to one of the girls in the lawsuit, spent hours at my house with him. Let me read that again. Epstein says that victim spent hours at Epstein's house with Donald Trump. If that isn't damning evidence of Trump's intimate connection to Epstein's crimes, I don't know what is. Now, it doesn't say what Trump did with the victim or the person that Epstein calls victim, but Epstein is acknowledging that Trump spent hours with someone who he identifies as victim. Remember, this is an email that was sent by Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell back in 2011, 4 years before Trump ever announced he would run for office. Here's another past email. This was an email exchange between Jeffrey Epstein and Michael Wolff. The email between Wolff and Epstein is dated December 15th and 16th, 2015. Keep in mind that Donald Trump had just launched his first campaign for president just 7 months prior. On June 16, 2015, Trump gave his famous speech at Trump Tower announcing his intention to run for president. So 7 months after Trump declares his intention to run for president, Epstein and Wolff email each other. On November 15th, Michael Wolff says, quote, "I hear CNN is planning to ask Trump tonight about his relationship with you," end quote. Later that night, Epstein says, quote, "If we were to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be?" End quote. The next day, on December 16th, Wolff responds by writing, quote, "I think you should let him hang himself." If he says he hasn't been on a plane or to the House, that gives you valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt. Of course, it's possible that when asked, he'll say that Jeff is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime, end quote. There is a lot that can be unpacked here, but first let me just say that not only does this look bad for Trump, it also looks bad for Michael Wolff. Wolff is giving a known pedophile advice. In my estimation, this does not look good for him at all. By all appearances, it looks like Michael Wolff is trying to help Epstein avoid further legal trouble. Second, notice what Epstein says to Wolff. He says, quote, "If we were to craft an answer for him, what do you think it should be?" End quote. Now it's Epstein who's the one trying to help Trump with public relations. And specifically, he seems to be alluding to the fact that he and Trump had some kind of a friendship. And he was concerned about what Trump might say about him and their friendship. Notice again what Michael Wolff said. Quote, "If he says he hasn't been on a plane or to the House." Did you catch that? Wolff is acknowledging that he is aware that Donald Trump has not only been on Epstein's plane, but that Trump has been to Epstein's house. Both Epstein and Wolff know that if Trump acknowledges either of these things, it doesn't look good for him and may compromise his chance at winning the presidency. Also notice what else Wolff says. Quote, "You can hang him in a way that generates a positive benefit for you, or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him generating a debt." Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say that Jeff is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness, which is to be outlawed in a Trump regime, end quote. Michael Wolff is doing something very helpful for us here. His written statements to Epstein reveal to us that Epstein's usual method of operating was manipulation and blackmail. And clearly, this email indicates that Wolff knows it. And not only that, but it appears as if, though, Michael Wolff approved of Epstein's using blackmail, or why else would he suggest it? Listen to these words again. Quote, "You could save him and it could generate a debt." That's the language of blackmail. These are some bombshell emails. And you know what? Our dear leader, Donald Trump, is in trouble. And you know how I know he's in trouble? Here's what President Trump wrote in a recent Truth Social post. "The Democrats are trying to bring up the Jeffrey Epstein hoax again because they'll do anything at all to deflect on how badly they've done on the shutdown and so many other subjects. Only a very bad or stupid Republican would fall into that trap. The Democrats cost our country $1.5 trillion with their recent antics of viciously closing our country, while at the same time putting many at risk, and they should pay a fair price. There should be no deflections to Epstein or anything else, and any Republican involved should be focused only on opening up our country and fixing the massive damage caused by the Democrats," end quote. He also had top administration officials set up private meetings at the White House in the Situation Room with Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace, two Republicans who signed the discharge petition. Trump clearly wants them to vote no. And why did he set up the meeting in the Situation Room? A room usually reserved for top national security issues. You know what? Trump's right. This is a national security issue that demands use of the Situation Room, because if it comes out that Trump raped and abused underage girls at Epstein's house, then he needs to be impeached and removed from office and sent directly to prison. That is what a fair and just society does. That is what the Constitution demands. And I hope our elected leaders, both Republicans and Democrats, will do their constitutional duty and make sure that happens. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please do me a favor and hit like underneath the video. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe for more breakdowns like this. If you want to support my work, become a paid subscriber to my weekly Substack newsletter. There's also a free option. The link is in the description.